Touch them. Say, we will not be distracted. Every tweet will not change our perspective. See, my friends, on our watch, we must say, okay to those that say, you're against Roseanne Barr. Okay, we're with you. Okay, those that say, you're against Unite the Right Rally. Okay, but the question we want to know is, will you stand against the president who seeks to implement white nationalist policy agenda? That's what we're doing. Say they're against what happened in Charlottesville. Okay, we got you. But will you speak out against the attacks on health care? That's what we want to know. Tomorrow, will you make voting a national holiday? Will you make automatic registration at 18 and we want to make this country? White or black, that has an apathetic attitude towards systemic violence is guilty of being an accessory to the crime. So even black people have to make sure that we are not enabling the implementation of white nationalist policies. Go tell my good friend Tim Scott, get on the right side of the road. Where are you, Mr. Scott? When it comes to supporting the fixing of the Voting Rights Act, if you're black, but you're silent on the policies that cause disparate treatment to any people, then you are an enabler of systemic racism. I was reminded the other day, and I know somebody kind of said, oh Lord, he didn't say that. Yes, I did. But it's not new. I was reminded the other day when Dr. King and others started the Montgomery campaign, the white power structure of Montgomery got a group of black ministers to undermine Dr. King, to come out publicly against him. That's why Thurgood Marshall said, it doesn't matter if it's a black snake or a white snake, if it's trying to bite you, it's a snake. And I know you didn't expect that in the rally, but we have to deal with this thing. We have to deal with racism. And racism is so ugly, it will actually find people whom it is racist against and use them to participate in its own continuance. Don't ever forget when James Reed from All Souls Church was killed after Jimmy Lee Jackson down in Selma, Dr. King didn't talk about the KKK in his critique of racism. He didn't. This is what Dr. King said. He said, naturally, we are compelled to ask the question, who killed James Reed? Well, the answer is simple and rather limited when we think of the who. He was murdered by a few sick, demented, and misguided men who have a strange notion that you express dissent through murder. There is another haunting, poignant, desperate question we are forced to ask this afternoon that I asked a few days ago when we funeralized James Jackson. It is the question, what killed James Reed? And when we move from the who to the what, the blame is wide and the responsibility grows. James Reed was murdered by the indifference of every minister of the gospel who has remained silent behind the safe security of stained glass windows. He was murdered by the irrelevancy of the church. He was murdered by the irresponsibility of every politician who has moved down the path of demagoguery and who has fed his constituents the stale bread of hatred and the spoiled meat of racism. He was murdered by the brutality of every sheriff and law enforcement agent who practices lawlessness in the name of the law. He was murdered by a timidity of a federal government that can spend $1 million a day to keep troops in South Vietnam, yet cannot protect the lives of his own citizens seeking constitutional right. Yes, he was even murdered by the cowardness of every Negro who tacitly accepts the evil system of segregation and who stands on the sideline in the midst of a mighty struggle for justice as long as he or she gets a few crumbs to sit at the table.
Go ahead and preach.
Let us, finally let us resolve to do what the Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller said after the Holocaust. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was a Jew. Let us say first they came for the immigrants, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't an immigrant. Then they came for the Palestinians, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Palestinian. Then they came for the Muslims, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a Muslim. Then they came for the undeserving poor, and I didn't speak out because they were poor. I wasn't poor. And then they came for the so-called criminal, and I didn't speak out because I'm not a criminal. But then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Langston Hughes in 1935, in the middle of the Harlem Renaissance, in the middle of the riots in Harlem, wrote, "America has never been America to me, and yet I swear this oath that America shall be." He said, "Now we must take back our mighty dream again, not with the lie that there is a glorious past to which we shall return, not with the lie that if we just get one man out of the White House, then all of a sudden things are okay, but with the understanding that since this one man has called to the fire underneath the earth, and the fire has come forth, it's time for us to breathe, to spread this fresh water of the dream of justice one more time, and take back our mighty dream again. America has never been America to me, but I swear this oath that America shall be. So if they want to unite, let us unite what is right. Justice is right.
All right.
Let us unite around that.
All right.
Unity is right. Love is right. Systematically dismantling racism and poverty and ecological devastation and the war economy and militarism is right. Taking on the false narrative of religious nationalism that says that some people don't matter and others matter, that's what is right. So let us unite what is right and remember what they said in the civil rights movement. The right time to do right is always right now. God bless you.
God sanctified and used the word holy for is time. And ladies and gentlemen, in just about 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to remove these and we're going to begin our Interfaith Sabbath service, which begins streaming right at 6 o'clock. So we ask you, for those of you to courteously, if you're leaving, to leave, and those we hope you will stay and pray with us. It's a 1-hour service. We hope you will join us with Congressmen Norton and Raskin. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom. I'm sure others will be making it in. It has been a very intriguing and powerful day, and we are so delighted that you're joining us for this interfaith service, and to so many of our religious leaders who are here with us today. So we begin our Sabbath service with our visual worship. As we turn for a piece of music, I want to just briefly, I will share with you after our first opening song some remarks, but I'm going to call upon Cantor to share a song that we'll use called Sanctuary. You'll find it on the screen above and in your books. A year ago this weekend, Rabbi Miller and I went to church. As two Southern Jews, it was not unfamiliar territory. We joined the men and women of First Baptist Church of Glenarden in Prince George's County. Reverend John Jenkins was joined by 11,000 worshipers in his 3 Sunday services. The music and prayers were uplifting, and I did not come for the music nor the prayers. That Sunday, I simply came to be present. There was no other place that I should have been. Another place where I would have wanted to worship on that Sunday morning. The morning was somber. It was the morning after the violence of Charlottesville, Virginia, where, as we know, white nationalists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Ku Klux Klan members, and other racist groups engaged in violence that resulted in the death of Heather Heyer. Preceded by a tiki torch march the Friday night around the synagogue, they viciously chanted anti-Semitic slurs against Jews. Nazi armbands and Nazi flags were visible in crowds as well. Hatreds of blacks and Jews reared its ugly head again. Where, this time just miles from the home of Jefferson, one of the designers of our democracy. This was done to reignite terror against black and Jew. This was not to discuss or stand for the right of a statue to remain in place or to protect history. This was rather an assault on America and America's way of life. This violence was not spontaneous, I believe, but rather premeditated. Those there for Unite the Right rally were clad in helmets, shields, and welding baseball bats, clubs. These individuals were dressed for battle, not for peaceful demonstration. As a Jew, as an American, and simply as a human being, with moral clarity of our faith, Washington Hebrew then and now condemns such monstrous acts, especially a murderous act that took the life of a young lady. We're equally appalled by the resurgence of bigotry and anti-Semitism that the events of Charlottesville represent. At this critical time that we stand for our beliefs and we join hands and hearts with other religious communities that are equally concerned about the welfare of our country. That's what draws us here tonight. We cannot allow such acts of hatred to define or divide our nation. The core of our Jewish faith reminds us that we were once slaves in the land of Egypt, and as such we have no tolerance for oppression of any kind. We must act on our beliefs. Tonight is a powerful reminder of the interfaith bridges that Washington Hebrew congregation has built in the city, and we are a founding member of the IFC, the Interfaith Conference, and we have stood shoulder to shoulder with Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, and so many others on occasions to both celebrate our differences and to learn about our differences with respect. I respect the work of the JCRC, which preserves that effort every day, and I am so delighted that Rabbi Jerry Serrata joins us this evening, who works tirelessly in the Interfaith Council so that we can have events like this in harmony together. Last year I went to church, so tonight so many of you come to synagogue in hope that God will lead us to do good, not evil, to spread love, not hate, that America's greatness will not be found in the violence of Charlottesville, but in the dignity of our response. We will meet hate and bigotry with love and with hope. May the words of our liturgy tonight and the songs of our hearts give us the strength and the courage to bring God's vision of a world of justice and peace much closer. Amen. We now call upon Martha Kahn, the mother of our B'nai Mitzvah, for this Sabbath to come and lead us in Sabbath prayer. And we want to express to Shoshana's entire family, who may join her up here at the time, their patience and their indulgence in our crazy schedule this evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Come, let us go to the mountain of the Lord, that we may walk the paths of the Most High. And we shall beat our swords into plowshares, and our spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And none shall be afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. Isaiah chapter 2, verses 3 and 4.
What do we come together for? Do we come together out of hate, or out of bigotry, or out of love, out of kindness? Do we come together to hurt, or to heal, to shout, or to sing? We as Jews, as Christians, as Muslims, as people of faith, we come together to pray, to remind ourselves that when we gather, we raise ourselves up to pray to the one in whose image we are all created. And so we rise together for Barclay.
I read from the Gospel of Mark. You may be seated. Chapter 12. And one of the scribes came to him and asked him, "Which commandment is the first of all?" Jesus answered, "The first is, 'Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God, the eternal God alone. And you shall love your eternal God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second commandment is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandments greater than these."
We declare as one human family that God is one, and we are here to do God's holy work. We rise for the Shema.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I invite you to join in this piece with me. The refrain will repeat enough, and it's pretty simple, so you will hopefully pick it up pretty quickly. We'll do it a few times to give you a chance to learn it. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. They are
Each generation is challenged to pursue peace. Some meet that challenge better than others. If peace eludes us, we must ask if it is because of circumstances beyond our control or because our attitudes interfere with its realization. We work for peace when we believe it as an ideal. We gain the strength for peace by joining with others.
To those who claim that peace is not possible, we say, people who believe in nothing change nothing for the better. We must risk believing in peace and work for its achievement. This is our legacy from the past. This is our gift to the future.
Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content. Her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Continue with prayers that are by tradition said standing, so please rise. Prayers for our ancestors, prayers praising God's might. Praise is our God, the God of our ancestors and the God of all ages and peoples. Please read with me. God led our mothers and fathers from darkness to light, from error to truth, from bondage to freedom. And God will lead us to more light, new truth, greater freedom. Praise is our God, the shield of Abraham, and the helper of Sarah. We continue together, praising God's might. Great is the eternal one's power, and great is the power we have been given. God's Spirit speaks within us, saying, heal the sick, help the weak, care for the poor, free the captive, be true to your faith. Then we become a holy people, true children of the holy God. Praise is the eternal, the creator of life. Seated.
merciful. Praise be to the Lord of the universe, who has created us and made us into tribes and nations, that we may know each other, not that we may despise each other. If the enemy incline towards peace, do thou also incline towards peace. And trust in God, for the Lord is one that hears and knows all things. And the servants of God most gracious are those who walk on the earth in humility. And when we address them, we say, peace.
We join together in Shalom Ra, our prayer for peace. Shalom Ra.
For our country. May the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image recognize that they are brethren, so that one in spirit and one in fellowship, they may be forever united in your service.
So this particular portion of our service is no formal liturgy, but it's really the liturgy of our lives and our own experience. We take a moment for pause. We take a moment for counting our blessings and thinking of all the things that are good in the week that's gone. We take that moment with gratitude, and we also take that moment to think about who we will be in the week to come. We take a moment for silent prayer. In our moments of silence, I want to take a moment to share a quick reflection. This week we'll turn our scrolls to Deuteronomy. And in the beginning it says, I place before you a blessing or a curse, which actually proves and disproves one particular thing, that we're not the chosen people, but we're a choosing people, all of us. The story is told of a mother whose son comes back and he's angry and is distraught by all the things that are going on, and he's so frustrated with going on, he can't stand the way people are treating him, and he goes and he stands at the end of their area where they live, which is a big open chasm, and he screams, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And amazingly, he's frightened because a voice comes back from across the space and says, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. He runs scared and filled for it, and he says, Mom, it's true. Everything's against me. They all hate me. The mother realizes what's happened, sends the boy out again and says, I want you to stand on that edge. I want you to bow your head and think how beautiful life is. And I want you as loud as you can to say, I love you. I love you. I love you. He does. And for that young man, it's the same for each of us. When he stood on that edge and he said, I love you, coming back even stronger and louder were the words, I love you, I love you, I love you. Rei natati levanecha, I give you the choice of blessing or curse. This weekend, we will all stand on the abyss of the future. We know not what Sunday might or might not bring, but we know what we say in this world is what will come back to us in this world. God, give us the strength. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Robinson chose blessing. She's a poet. Last year she saw the events of Charlottesville and she responded not with violence, not with hate, but with these beautiful words of poetry. If not now. Who would have strength to stand, truth to power, a tightrope walk against the wind, with no net below except for the hand of God?
Who would walk the road less traveled? The one of rocky crags and razor wire that curves into a perilous wood and still look up with hope.
Who would sing the song of dissonance when it is easier, far easier, to slip into the stream and be carried by its current?
Who would dare to demand justice, show mercy, offer comfort, shout defiantly? Who would love in the face of hate?
Who will stand now, if not for me? Who will rise now and march now and sing a song of freedom's call now? Who, if not for me?
Once more, and yet again, if not now, then when?
It's my pleasure now to call upon the president of our congregation, Nell Shapiro, to make a presentation.
Shabbat Shalom. And thank you all so much for being here. We're so thrilled to have so many members of our temple community and the broader community here to celebrate this Shabbat of peace and to meet the planned events of this weekend with our shared values of faith, love, and acceptance. But at this moment in the service, I want to turn our attention to our bat mitzvah family of the weekend, the Kreisbergs, and share with all of you what I think is one of the great traditions of Washington Hebrew. Each Shabbat, we present to our b'nai mitzvahs a Kiddush cup, which is the cup we use to bless the wine on Shabbat. This cup allows them to begin celebrating Shabbat as Jewish adults. This presentation is made possible by the generosity of the Cami Lauren Nathanson family, who chose to memorialize their daughter with this practice. To date, there have been more than 5,000 Cami Lauren Nathanson Kiddush cups presented to Washington Hebrew's b'nai mitzvah, along with a certificate that tells her story. In brief, Cami was a young woman about the age of our bar mitzvah students who was very involved in youth group here at Temple. After she was tragically killed by a drunk driver, her family worked hard to change state laws so that kind of tragedy would not happen again. Our congregation is proud of the legacy of Cami Lauren Nathanson, and tonight, Shoshana, we want to let you know that we are also very proud of you. You can come up now if you want. And the accomplishment that your bat mitzvah represents. We hope that in the future, wherever you may be, you will use this Kiddush cup, which I will give you in a moment, and think of Washington Hebrew and the Jewish beginning that you had here. We also hope that you will think of Cami and the power of one individual to change lives. You have that power also. So let me get the Kiddush cup and invite you to lead us in prayer for the first time. Mazel tov to you and your whole family. I hope you have a wonderful celebration this weekend.
Praise you, and I God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. Praise you, and I God, sovereign of the universe, who find a favor with us, signifies us with his thoughts. The word of David made the holy Shabbat a heritage. As we remind of the creation, as first among our sacred days, recalls Exodus from Egypt. You chose us to set us apart for the peoples. And what a favor, you have given us your holy Shabbat and inheritance. Praise to you, Anointed who sanctify Shabbat. Ruach atah Eloi, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Please join us as we chant the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
We're now going to transition into a separate part of our service, which we're actually going to move into a vigil. And before we do that, I want to take a moment and thank a few people that have worked so incredibly hard to make all of this happen. I think at this time you should receive, did they receive a flashlight when they came in? You all got them? Okay, so we're ready to go. Don't turn them on yet. I want to personally thank the entire staff of Washington Hebrew Congregation who actually, we thought that this was going to be just a 7:30 vigil, and then things changed and plans changed, and we were so gracious that Eleanor, Holmes, Norton, and Jamie Raskin gave us the opportunity to share in the teaching today, which was quite extraordinary, and we want to thank you for that opportunity. But we also, as they are both people of great faith, they wanted us to be able to take a moment of prayer together as a community. In our tradition, in our congregation, every week we remind ourselves we have something that's called Yisker. We remember. People come because they actually have the anniversary of a death. And we mark that anniversary of the death in our home by lighting a candle, and in our lives by coming and saying a particular prayer. A prayer that in fact never mentions death in its name, but extols life and extols God. So tonight we come together, and we collectively are going to remember not only the members of our congregation who passed in the years past at this time, not only the people who are in our congregation in what's called Shloshim, the last 30 days of their mourning, or the first 30 days of their mourning, excuse me, but also we remember the individuals who lost their lives a year ago this weekend. And we will come together to give honor to memory and to commemorate and to stand for what we have done. We turn now to a song, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha.
Lost in years past. You'll see all of the names that our community is remembering today behind me on the screen, and I will read out loud those names that families have asked us as a community to read out loud and remember. Today, the Washington Hebrew community remembers Rose Asner, Rosa Backenheimer, David Barron, Sylvan Bensinger, Martha Bergner, Isidore Berkman, Celia Berlinski, Harry Bernstein, Marcel Betouin, Francis Brock, Julius Kaplan, Carrie C. Carroll, Harry I. Davidson, Albert DeMarco, Saul Drescher, Richard Dreisenstock, David Edlovich, Saul Arza, Ruth S. Estrin, Edwin B. Feldman, David Frank, Cy Friedman, David Friedman, Joanne Geisman, Linda M. Gittleson, Samuel D. Gordon, Jenny Greenblatt, Melvin Glusdorf, Rose Herman, Evelyn Hotchkiss, Helen N. Katzenberg, Charles Kaufman, Sarah Sue Kaufman, William Karros, Bernard Hilsheimer, Jacob Kornhauser, Renee Kraft, Max P. Kranz, Henry B. Kreisman, Stanley Landsberg, Dr. David Lazaro, Max Lachey, A. Ross Lerner, Marian Minkoff Lerner, Ernest M. Levin, Dorothy Lux, Benjamin Monzak, Patricia Montel, Moses A. Morris, Claire Knapp, Morton H. Oppenheim, Ella Oppenheimer, Arthur G. Parkett, Sally R. Rich, Paula M. Ring, Albert Rosenblum, Bessie Rosenblum, Rachel C. Rudolph, Lawrence Sack, Marvin Sitter, Irvin A. Schloss, Gertrude Schwartz, Marla Joan Schwartz, Alvin Silverman, Geraldine Sitrick, Jacob Z. Slavin, Irvin A. Schloss, Warren Stark, Mamie Sterling, the Honorable Burton Sternberg, Benjamin Stratton, Robert Skip Tash, Frank Wallace, Sidney Weinreb, Joshua Weinstein, Fanny M. Weisberg, Harlan L. Weiss, Esther Wheeler, David Wise, Jerry Woolman, Nettie Jelinek, Robert Birchman, and Benjamin Lebowitz.
Remember on this evening especially those individuals who tragically lost their lives a year ago. Remember Trooper Burke M. Bates, Lieutenant H. J. Cullen, and of course Heather Heyer. And we remember in our congregation those individuals who recently been laid to rest: Barbara Barban, Harold Horowitz, Arnie Horowitz, William Landis, Terry Ledley, Joan Levine, Robert Lurie, Rose Paul, Phyllis Perkin, Anita Weinstein, and Nancy Zeidman. We rise now together for Kaddish Yitom.
Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma, Dibra, Kirte, Yamlik, Malkute, V'chayafon, U'yomechon, V'chaye, Devo, Beit Yisrael, V'agalav, Mishman, Karim, V'yibru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, V'varach, Le'olam, Lamei, Amayah, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yita'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnoseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei, Dekudusha, V'richu. Le'ela Nipo Birkata V'Shirata, Tushbekata V'Nechamata, Ta'amiran V'Yalma V'Yibru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'Yibru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Romam, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'Yibru, Amen. Zichronom Livracha, may their memory be for a blessing.
We ask that you remain standing.
Bind yourself, give yourself to love. Heal yourself, seal yourself, give yourself with love.
Merge your plan. And then all that was divided us will merge. And then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to you. That is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will.
And then all will be rich and free and varied, and the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance, and then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young, and then all will cherish life's creatures. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
I ask that you rise for a moment. The human heart is an altar on which all sorts of passions are aflame. We can turn them into raging fires of evil or the light of goodness. To extinguish the destructive fires of evil is to exclaim that we are one human family, committed to extinguishing destruction once and for all.
Here is hatred. Let it be extinguished. Hatred seizes on the heart and corrupts it. Its light is a searing blaze, consuming the spirit and destroying all that is good.
Let the light of hatred, God, be extinguished.
Here's racism. Let it be quenched. Racism perpetuates the false belief that some are made above the other. Racism's light is a blinding light, keeping us from seeing the divinity in all beings.
Let the light of racism, O God, be quenched.
Here is indifference. Let it be put out. Indifference ignites the flame. It is slow burning embers of apathy that create a world in which hatred and racism can live.
Let the light of indifference, O God, be quenched. Hatred, racism, indifference, make darkness possess them. May their consuming fires be removed forever from the world. The remaining lights is the light of courage. It takes the courage it takes to put out these lights, the courage to stand up to hatred and racism, the courage to act when others stay indifferent. The light of courage exists within each of us. Our flames build together when we act together. Let the light of courage, O God, burn bright.
We light a second candle, the light of compassion. Compassion is a driving force that allows us to see the holiness in the other. In Hebrew, compassion, rachamim, comes from the same root as racham. We light this light and declare that we all come from one source. We are all part of this human family.
Let the light of compassion, O God, burn bright.
And we light a third candle, the light of love. You have commanded us, O God, to love your neighbor as yourself. We look to our left and to our right this evening and find this commandment easy to behold. As we go out into the world, however, this love will be tested. As we light this light, we declare that even if we are approached by hate, we will start with love.
Let the light of love, O God, burn bright. Courage, compassion, and love. May these flames ever illumine our path and guide us. Guardian of grace and humanity, may we not lose our way. Together, may our light of goodness burn forever bright, and through our deeds, may we kindle the light in others. You may be seated.
Teenagers today are asked, so unfortunately, to grow up more quickly than they might have otherwise, whether it's through gun violence, through the disintegration of civility in our politics, and in this weekend, white supremacists marching down our city's capital. How is a child to make sense of all of this? Zoe Abel, one of our confirmands from this past year, wrote a reading, a reflection on the many tragedies that she as a child is facing in these times that we all face, and wrote a reflection titled Thoughts and Prayers, where she asks the question that we all ask this evening. What happens? What happens when words fall short?
Thoughts and prayers. We've all heard this phrase repeatedly over the past few weeks, months, and years.
Sending my thoughts and prayers. It has become the normalized response to every school shooting, every hate crime, every natural disaster. Thoughts and prayers do not feed the hungry, heal the sick, or speak for those who have no voice.
Offering thoughts and prayers after tragedies has become so common that it's become a mode of performative sympathy and inaction. What are thoughts and prayers without actions and deeds?
Our prayer for peace states, "Let us not be content, O God." This phrase is especially meaningful in today's world. The prayer is informing us not to be complacent in saying prayers. We cannot just believe that prayer will heal the world.
It is our actions and not our words that will bring peace to the world. It is our actions in addition to our expressions of faith that will allow us to truly make a difference. It is our duty as human beings not to be content with just our thoughts and prayers, but to add actions and deeds.
So at this time begins our real vigil. The question asks, what will be your action? We collectively, as leaders and as men and women of this community, DC, which in my mind stands for diverse community, we ask that you think now of what your actions will be this weekend to bring peace, to bring harmony, to bring love. And when you've decided upon that action, I ask that you stand and light your light as we will join together as one community. Every imagination that stands in these lit candles, that this light will dispel the darkness that others seek to bring. Let us read Chicago's last line together. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. May it be God's will. We may be seated. I know I have Matt who can join me. It is a tradition in our congregation, because in a few moments since we've kept you in this room, some of you since 3 o'clock, that we're going to go to a festivone and we bless our bread. And so I ask that Nat and Matt, who are coming up, who are very small tykes themselves, I see, come up. I usually have 3rd and 4th graders to do this, so I'm a little surprised there. Are you just here with OUDC? Oh, cool. Turn around. I want to tell you these gentlemen are in a program that I'm most proud of in this congregation. They're in a program called Operation Understanding.